What's up guys, my name is Irina and welcome back to my channel where I review everything tech. So guys, in today's video I'm gonna compare the Samsung Galaxy Note 10 against the OnePlus 7 Pro. The Note 10 is probably one of the most anticipated Android flagships to have been released this year, but at $950 you can't help but wonder if it's worth it. And one of the most compelling reasons to ask this question is right here. Yes, because you can get the OnePlus 7 Pro for $250 less. But having put aside the price, we should dig deeper to actually see what makes these phones different. And in this video, we'll talk about the displays, the cameras, the sound quality of the speakers, also I'll do the battery charging test, and much more. And let's start with overall design and build quality. The Galaxy Note 10 is built with glass back, encased by an aluminum frame, and comes in different colors depending on the country you live in. In the US, you can get your Samsung Galaxy Note 10 in Aura Glow, Aura Black, and Aura White. By the way, I got mine in Aura Black, and honestly, I didn't expect the Note 10 would look so nice in this finish. It's not just plain black, but it has this light gray and blue hue. And when it comes to the OnePlus 7 Pro, it's also built with glass back, encased by a metal frame, and comes in different colors, also depending on the country you live in. In the US, you can get your OnePlus 7 Pro in Nebula Blue, Almond, and Mirror Gray. When you take both of these phones in your hands, you instantly feel the difference in weight. The Note 10 is so lightweight when compared to the OnePlus 7 Pro. It's actually such a relief, especially taking into account that almost every other big screen phone is pretty heavy these days. By the way, a quick remark for those of you who prefer to go caseless, keep in mind that your fingerprints will be very noticeable on the back of the Note 10, while you can actually barely see them on the OnePlus 7 Pro. When it comes to the size of these phones, the OnePlus 7 Pro is a little bigger. It's taller by 1 cm and thicker by 4 mm. Moving on to the displays of these devices. They're both curved AMOLED screens. We have a 6.3-inch display on the Note 10 and 6.67-inch display on the OnePlus 7 Pro. The Note 10 has noticeably smaller bezels, and when it comes to tech specs, we have a higher pixel density on the OnePlus 7 Pro, we also have a higher resolution on the OnePlus 7 Pro, and of course we have 90Hz refresh rate of the display of the OnePlus 7 Pro against 60Hz on the Note 10. But putting the tech specs aside, let's talk about how these displays feel in real life. First, let's do a quick test and compare the brightness of these displays. Let's start with 50%, and at this point the OnePlus 7 Pro's display obviously looks brighter. Next, let's make it 100%. And guys, putting the numbers of nits aside, the OnePlus 7 Pro definitely looks brighter. You could clearly see that when looking at these photos, and here it's pretty noticeable as well. Now let's see how these displays perform when looking at them from an angle. And you can see that the Note 10's display looks slightly dimmer. Both displays are now set to natural mode, but guys, no matter how hard I try to calibrate the display of the Note 10 to my taste, it always had this slightly green or gray tint when compared to this clean white color on the OnePlus 7 Pro. Not sure if my camera will be able to pick this up. However, I'm pretty sure that if I hadn't compared the Note 10 to other smartphones, I wouldn't even have noticed that. So guys, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that the Samsung Galaxy Note 10 has a bad display, but maybe I just expected a bit more from an almost $1,000 Samsung flagship. Maybe the display of the Note 10 didn't impress me that much, but when it comes to the camera setup of the Note 10, that's a whole different story. I already have a very comprehensive camera comparison video on my channel where I compared the Note 10's camera against the OnePlus 7 Pro and the iPhone XS Max. Don't forget to check this video out if you haven't already, but overall, I can say that the camera on the Samsung Galaxy Note 10 is simply amazing. The consistency, the way it performs in challenging light conditions, the colors you get in your photos, and beautiful night shots. On the other hand, I have to admit that the OnePlus 7 Pro's camera unfortunately lacks that consistency, and oftentimes it's not able to consistently produce the best looking shots. By the way, both of these phones have ultra-wide-angle cameras. The only difference is that the Note 10 has a slightly wider field of view, but I would say that both of these phones produce really nice wide-angle photos. Now let's talk about the battery life of these phones. And first, let's start with the charging test. We have 3500 mAh on the Samsung Galaxy Note 10 and 4000 mAh on the OnePlus 7 Pro. When it comes to chargers that come with these phones, we get 25-watt charger with the Note 10 and 30-watt warp charger with the OnePlus 7 Pro. I already have the cables plugged in the phones, and now I'm gonna switch the power strip on. 1, 2, 3, go. The phones are waking up, and we can already see 1% on the Note 10. Let's make this test a little faster. And in just 10 minutes, we have 20% on the Note 10 and 23% on the OnePlus 7 Pro. Of charging give us 53% on the Note 10 and 60% on the OnePlus 7 Pro. And it looks like the OnePlus is surging ahead. However, after an hour of charging, the Note 10 is speeding up, and we have 90% on the Samsung Galaxy Note 10 and 92% on the OnePlus 7 Pro. After 1 hour and 10 minutes, these two phones are going side by side with 96% of the battery charge. %99% on the Note 10 and 99% on the OnePlus 7 Pro, and you guys have about 10 seconds to guess which phone is gonna be the first to reach 100%. And it takes 1 hour and 20 minutes to fully charge the OnePlus 7 Pro. And it takes 1 hour, 20 minutes and 49 seconds to fully charge the Note 10. So guys, looks like both of these phones are pretty much the same when it comes to charging times. And honestly, I would say they're pretty much the same when it comes to battery life as well. Of course, it really depends on how hard you use your device. And speaking of my own experience, it varies from day to day, but most of the time the Galaxy Note 10 as well as the OnePlus 7 Pro will easily last me through the day, and they will still have some juice left the next morning. Speaking of the differences, the Samsung Galaxy Note 10 has the advantage of supporting the wireless charging as well as the reverse wireless charging, which is called wireless power share on the Samsung devices, when you could put other compatible devices on your Note 10 and charge them from your phone. This is actually a pretty helpful feature. And next, let's talk about the biometrics. Both of these phones have a face unlock and a fingerprint unlock, and when it comes to face recognition, the OnePlus 7 Pro is always a little bit faster than the Note 10. And speaking of fingerprint readers, most of the time it's also faster on the OnePlus 7 Pro. However, the Note 10 has the advantage of having the ultrasonic technology in its fingerprint scanner, which is considered to be much more secure, while the OnePlus 7 Pro has an optical fingerprint sensor, which could be pretty easily tricked. Moving on to the sound quality of the speakers of these two phones, we have stereo speakers on the OnePlus 7 Pro, and we also have stereo speakers on the Samsung Galaxy Note 10. I would say the Note 10 sounds louder, but in my opinion, the sound coming from the OnePlus 7 Pro is clearer. Both of these phones have the surround sound with Dolby Atmos technology, and you could also customize the sound on both of these phones by choosing between some of the options in the sound settings. By the way, unlike the OnePlus, the Samsung is nice enough to throw in a pair of AKG earphones, which is always a nice touch, but unlike the Note 10, the OnePlus 7 Pro comes with a free case. And finally, I guess one of the main reasons why the Samsung Galaxy Note model has so many fans over the years is the S Pen. The Air Actions with the S Pen is the new feature in the Note 10. It follows your movements and works as your remote control. You can play and pause your videos and music, skip between the tracks, take pictures and videos, and even switch between the cameras, as well as zoom in and out, and a lot more depending on the app you're currently using. I personally don't use the S Pen very often. I guess I don't really have this habit, but honestly, when I take it out and start using it, then I literally can't stop, because oftentimes it's actually very convenient. It gives you that precision, especially when you're navigating through documents, websites, emails, and pretty much anything else. And aside from this, you get access to some fun features with your S Pen. Some of them are from the previous generation models, like the Smart Select for making GIFs, Screen Write, Live Messages, AR Doodle is the new one. Translate is a pretty helpful feature. You could translate words in an article, for example. With Pen Up and Coloring, you can draw in color. And of course, there are even more apps out there where you could get the most out of using your S Pen. Both of these phones are powered by Snapdragon 855 chip. We also have 8GB of RAM and 256GB of storage on both of these devices. These two phones feel very fast and snappy, but it's important to remember that neither of them has an expandable storage. I welcome the OnePlus 7 Pro for having a dedicated sound slider that goes one step above the iPhone sound slider, since the OnePlus also gives you an option to put your phone on vibrate. And I welcome the Note 10 for not having a Bixby button, because I personally never use it and I'm so glad they didn't put it on this phone. By this point of the video, I think most of you have already picked your favorite. Overall, in my opinion, it's hard to say which phone is an absolute winner here, simply because they all shine in their specific niches. But I'd be curious to know which phone you would choose, guys. Thank you so much for watching this video, and see you in the next one!